Hello and welcome to the first episode of 10 of the Best with me, Rob Tebbutt, where I answer 10 questions about boxing. Here we go. Whoa, oh my God. Ooh, fuck. I have no idea what it's going to be.
Roll up, it's 10 of the best.
How does one debate amongst himself? Ooh, best southpaw in boxing history. Manny Pacquiao, probably. Pernell Whitaker probably have a little bit of a shout, but yeah, I'll probably go Manny Pacquiao. 8 division world champion, multiple world titles. Manny Pacquiao, best southpaw in history. Shout out Pernell Whitaker though. He's my favourite southpaw in history, but Manny Pacquiao is the best. For me, that's difficult. Like, best boxing memory. I remember, so one of my earliest boxing memories, it's not my best boxing memory, but one of my earliest boxing memories is Prince Nassim when he boxed Wayne McCulloch in on Halloween, and he did like the Thriller ring entrance. I was very young at the time, so I remember that being like, whoa, oh my God. So that's one of my earliest, but best boxing memory. I don't know, it's difficult. I think from shows that I've covered, I always remember Wilder Fury 1, and kind of the buzz and the rush of, it was our first trip away at the time, myself and Andy Purwell. That was our first away trip, rather, in LA. And I remember just being so buzzed afterwards, I couldn't like control myself for hours and hours after that. So yeah, I don't know. It's difficult. Best memory, because things are good for different reasons, and some things are specific and personal to you. And yeah, I'm waffling, so I'll go with Wilder Fury 1. MGM Grand, Las Vegas. History. There's not a bad seat in the house, I know, because I've sat ringside and I've also sat way up in the gods, and there's always a good view of the action. It's obviously in Las Vegas, which has its benefits as well. For me, yeah, MGM Grand Las Vegas is my favourite venue to watch boxing. Best entertainer of all time. It's got to be Muhammad Ali, I would imagine. Somebody who's kind of, he completely, it's not reinvented, but he was certainly the first most braggadocious character, and obviously took boxing to new heights. Razor tongue, you know, great in the ring, very entertaining, dazzling, and also the press conferences and the build-up, the poetry. That's some of my earliest memories of watching boxing, was with my dad and my granddad, and not even necessarily watching the boxing, but watching like documentaries on Ali when I was growing up, and kind of the way that he would command the audience and have people in the kind of the palm of his hand. I think, yeah, Muhammad Ali would be the greatest entertainer in boxing history. Shout out to Prince Nassim Hamed, though, who obviously I've already mentioned. And also Macho Camacho. Hector Camacho was also a great showman. Used to love how he used to dance down to the ring, shaking it. And some of his entrances were pretty cool as well. So, yeah, I'll go for Muhammad Ali, but honourable mentions to Nassim Hamed and Hector Camacho. Best British fighter of all time. There's some people who I would speak to, and obviously I'm not a boxing historian, but I kind of gone back and had a look at certain things, and there are people who will tell you Jimmy Wilde, the great Welsh flyweight, would be the greatest British fighter of all time. But it's difficult for me to kind of say that, because obviously never really seen a fight. Lennox Lewis, for me, former undisputed heavyweight champion, had a great career as well, some ups and downs in there, was in some great fights, high profile fights. I would say Lennox Lewis is the greatest British fighter of all time. Oh, Andy Cruz. Andy Cruz from Cuba. Sensational. Just won the World Championships again for the 3rd time. Won gold at Tokyo. Phenomenal talent. He's still very young as well. He's sort of like the Mario Kindelan of his era. Going to go and dominate the amateur scene for a long time. I don't really see anybody out there who can beat him. We had Mike Costello on the podcast a while ago, and we were talking about his bout with Keyshawn Davis, the gold medal bout in the Olympics. Also, they boxed in the world finals. a few years ago, and they were great fights. But Andy Cruz for me is, you have your elite level amateurs, then your elite level Cubans, and then you have Andy Cruz on top of that. So I would say Andy Cruz is the best amateur in the world. Tough. Best professional prospect in world boxing. That's difficult because there's so many divisions. What constitutes a prospect nowadays? You've got people who have had World Series of Boxing experience and boxed at a very high level as an amateur, and they come through and after 1 or 2 fights, they're pretty much ready to go and box for world titles. So it's difficult. I'm going to go with Bam Rodriguez, who is a light flyweight prospect. Just boxed recently on a Matchroom card, trained by Robert Garcia. He's a brilliant talent. Can box, can punch. He's got a mean streak. I'm going to go with Jesse Rodriguez, Bam Rodriguez. I think he's the best prospect in world boxing. Was my Boxing Social prospect of the year for 2020, and it looks as though he's going to be ready to fight for world titles, if not next, then certainly very soon. Just trying to think of any honourable mentions. I like David Morrell. I think he's very good. The Cuban at 168. I think he's really, really good. He's going to become a really good fighter. But at the minute, from what I've seen of Bam Rodriguez, I think he's a very, very special talent. And I think he could go through the weights, do light fly, super fly, bantam. And yeah, I think he's going to be a tremendous fighter. Best boxing city. It's difficult because for what? Like for the culture, for fighters, for events. It's difficult. Go for fucking London, mate. No, I'm joking. No, I don't know. It's Las Vegas. Las Vegas. It's the home of, obviously Madison Square Garden is the mecca of boxing and what have you in New York, but it's got to be Las Vegas. It's the epicenter for combat sports. Obviously they have fighters who are based out of Las Vegas. I'm not sure if they produce that many fighters themselves from kind of being born and raised in Vegas and what have you, but yeah, Las Vegas, because if you're kind of going for everything and it's not like specific details for each, then I would say Las Vegas. Ooh, it's between two immediately spring to mind, which is Canelo Alvarez. Watched him box Sergey Kovalev, and I was blown away by the little intricacies that you don't necessarily always see on the TV. I thought he was phenomenal. Watching him live, I really got a gauge of how good he is. Even though it wasn't really his best performance either at light heavyweight, certainly not the prime version of Canelo, sort of 160, 168, certainly 168 recently. The other one's Naoya Inoue. Went to see him box in Glasgow, boxed Manny Rodriguez, who's a very good fighter, unbeaten at the time, and Inoue just went through him in a couple of rounds. Josh Taylor was on the same bill, topped the bill. I should point that out before he tells me off. And the sound of the shots between Inoue as a bantamweight and Josh Taylor as a super lightweight, it sounded like Inoue punched harder. Obviously, I don't think he does punch harder than Josh Taylor, but the kind of awesome is a word that's always thrown about way too much. Oh, that was awesome. Really? Was it? It inspired awe, did it? But Inoue really was awesome to watch live. His control of distance, his balance, his punching power. So those two immediately spring to mind. Never seen Usyk or Lomachenko box, which is a shame. I've never seen them box live. Usyk, every time he's come over to the UK, there's been a reason. I think he's boxed over here 3 times now, and there's been reasons for each of them why I haven't seen him box. Tyson Fury is probably in the conversation, but I think it's between Canelo and Inoue, and because Canelo wasn't at his absolute best weight, even though I was blown away with how good he was, I would say Naoya Inoue is the best I've ever seen live. Whoa, oh my God. Ooh, fuck. I have no idea what it's going to be.
Roll up, it's 10 of the best.
How does one debate amongst himself? Okay, that was 10 of the best with me, Rob Tebbutt. Please remember, as always, to like, follow and turn those notifications on for more boxing content, and put in the comments who you want to see next in the chair and have 10 questions answered by you, the fans. Thanks very much.